This is CBC Here and Now.
Well, the province now has a second death tied to COVID-19 and the first confirmed case in a long-term care home. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Let's start with the details of that second death connected to COVID-19. Officials say a 61-year-old woman in the eastern region has died. She was admitted to hospital from her home and she did have underlying health problems. The news comes as officials reveal 9 more positive cases, bringing the total to 226. Now, one of those cases is in a long-term care home, and that's another significant milestone. So let's bring in here now Peter Cowan for details. So Peter, what can you tell us about this?
Carolyn, this long-term care home is actually located on the Burin Peninsula. It's in the town of St. Lawrence, and it's called the U.S. Memorial Health Center. Interestingly, it deals with both long-term care as well as emergency cases. In total, there are 40 beds inside the facility. So how did that person get COVID-19, especially with visitors being restricted? Well, today the Health Minister, John Haggie, said the period where this person could have been exposed from the virus included the time when residents were still allowed a single visitor.
It's not clear whether it's a visitor or a member of staff who may have been in a position of passing the infection on to this individual. In terms of what specifically is happening in St. Lawrence, this individual's unit has all been screened and tested. The surrounding unit will be. The staff have all been approached by public health and given appropriate advice. It is a hybrid institution in the sense that it also has a walk-in Category B emergency department, and those facilities have been temporarily relocated, my understanding is, to the Burin Peninsula Healthcare Centre.
Now, COVID-19 is more of a concern for people who are older or have underlying health conditions. They tend to have more severe forms of the disease. And so we've seen in other places like BC and Ontario, major outbreaks that have gone through long-term care centers and where, unfortunately, many of the patients have died. They want to prevent that here. And the mayor of St. Lawrence, though, says people in his community are worried right now.
The community and people that I've talked to today are really surprised that and nervous that in this community we have one store and one post office and so on. So like people are scared to certainly be around other people and be going to get groceries and things like that. They're really worried about it now, and there's a lot of concern in the community.
Now, the mayor is also concerned because healthcare workers tend to work at multiple facilities, so they're going back and forth, and so worried that that could mean the disease spreads elsewhere. Today, the health minister, though, said he's putting a stop to that. As of right now, workers will only work at one facility at a time. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Peter. That's Here and Now's Peter Cowan reporting live. Well, as we mentioned a few moments ago, there has been a second death connected to COVID-19, a 61-year-old woman in the eastern region who had underlying health problems. She had been admitted to hospital from her own home, and here's what was said about that at today's briefing.
Today, I am deeply saddened to report that there has been a second death related to COVID-19 in our province, in the Eastern Health Region. The individual was 61 years of age and was admitted to hospital from her home. We extend our sincerest and most heartfelt condolences to the family at this time.
So we are facing another heartbreaking day for our province, and I am saddened to say this as we head into week 4 of our public health state of emergency with this extremely sad news. Today we have another family mourning the loss of a loved one. This is the second death of a resident within our province due to complications of COVID-19. Our first death was on March the 30th. This is not what we wanted to see today, not what we want to see any day. So I will also take this opportunity to pass along my deepest condolences to the family of this woman. I'm sure she will be greatly missed by her family and friends. Once again, I ask that we respect the privacy of the family. Think about it. Put yourself in their shoes. This could be the situation that you could be in tomorrow.
And starting today, the province is providing more detail on where cases are located. The government's website now includes a list of the communities that have COVID-19 and many details on how many cases are in each of those communities. The health minister says because there are now more than 200 cases, the stigma associated with the virus has diminished, so officials can be more specific about the location of cases.
Two guys from Newfoundland who were working in the oil patch decided to buy this car because they didn't feel safe getting on a plane, and they drove across the country and encountered a number of obstacles.
It almost felt like I was in an episode of the X-Files. You know, there's two military personnel there. They didn't want us driving through any major populous places where we can stop.
Their story tomorrow on Here and Now.
Well, there is a growing call from communities in Labrador to ban all non-essential travel to the region. People there are concerned about exposure to COVID-19. Well, today the Premier didn't bring in any new measures, but did address their concerns.
We're telling you, do not travel unless it's completely, absolutely necessary. This is not about, as Minister Hagee has said, this is not about finding loopholes. This is about saving lives. And since the start of the pandemic, we've been strongly urging people to stay home. Now, the vast majority of people in our province are following the advice of Dr. Fitzgerald. They're following the directive to travel only when it's absolutely necessary. That's the right thing to do. It's the mature thing to do. It applies to every single region of the province. There are no exceptions. So it doesn't matter if it's the Great Northern Peninsula, if it's Notre Dame Bay, the Burin Peninsula, or Central Labrador. There are no exceptions. Now, we hear concerns about traveling within the province. The decisions of Dr. Fitzgerald is making, they're based on evidence, science, and professional medical judgment. The exemptions that are in place are to ensure essential services and infrastructure is maintained.
The travel is not just about ferries, it's not just about the highway, and it's not just about getting on an aeroplane. Travel within the community is crucial. And coming up to Easter weekend, which is a big holiday weekend, where families have traditionally in this province got together and enjoyed each other's company. We need to do that this weekend in a different way. We can do that with the technology that allows us all now to be informed. We can FaceTime, we can Skype, we can use technology and see each other, yet remain physically separate. The other form of travel around the community that has been brought to my attention is that particularly of young folk, and teens in particular, who get together and spend an evening on the parking lot with the windows wound down and enjoying each other's company. And indeed, if you look at the age range of our patients now who have COVID-19, you see that the age is shifting into that younger group. I have 3 daughters, and when they were out in their car, or my car, they knew they had to be home at a certain time. And if they weren't, they only did it the once. If your teen is out there doing this in your vehicle, it's time for a parent to stop worrying about the reaction and maybe parent a little bit stronger than you have done before.
And Minister Hagee mentioned Easter weekend coming up, and today the provincial government said it will allow stores to open on Good Friday. That's usually a holiday where everything is shut down, but the Premier says under the circumstances, stores will have the option of opening. The aim is to prevent a surge of shoppers on Saturday. Not only that, the plastic bag ban, initially set to come into effect on July 1st, has been pushed to October 1st. The Premier says that's because some stores aren't allowing reusable bags inside the stores because staff are concerned about handling cloth bags that could be contaminated with COVID-19.
We've introduced the biggest economic measures in our lifetime, which will help millions of people.
The federal government has rolled out the emergency response benefit for those who have lost their income because of COVID-19. Hundreds of thousands of applications have already been received. The Prime Minister says millions of Canadians can expect to see money in 3 to 5 days. He also says relief is coming soon for those who are working on reduced hours and don't qualify for the emergency benefit.
If you're working reduced hours, down to 10 hours a week or less, we will soon announce how you will be able to qualify for the CERB. This is to help you if you're a gig worker, a contract worker, or a volunteer firefighter. We'll also have more to say for those who are working, but making less than they would with the benefit. I'm thinking in particular of home care workers or long-term care workers looking after vulnerable seniors. And I know there are also lots of university or college students wondering what kind of job you'll get this summer.
Well, health officials now say wearing a face mask in public can help prevent the spread of coronavirus. Canada's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, said today that a special advisory committee has recommended people can wear a non-medical mask when in public, especially in places where it's difficult to maintain a physical distance, like on public transit and in grocery stores.
A non-medical mask can reduce the chance of your respiratory droplets coming into contact with others or land on surfaces. So wearing a non-medical mask in the community has not been proven to protect the person wearing it. It is an additional way that you can protect others.
Well, there was a political shakeup over the weekend. MHA Sherry Gambin-Walsh has been removed from the provincial cabinet and is currently under investigation by the RCMP. RCMP officers seized the former minister's cell phones on Friday. The action was taken because of an allegation that Gambin-Walsh leaked information she was duty-bound as a government minister to keep secret. The search warrant stems from, quote, a breach of cabinet confidences between June 1st, 2018 and March 12th, 2020. In a post on social media, Gambin-Walsh said she is not guilty of breaching confidence.
A call from Minister Gambin-Walsh at the time, and she had informed me that there was a general warrant that had been issued to her. The warrant was related to cabinet confidences. Any minister that's under investigation for a breach of cabinet confidences, there's really no choice. You know, as a premier, as a leader, you take the minister would be taken away, the privileges of being a cabinet minister, the responsibilities would be removed for an ongoing investigation. It's up to the investigation to determine and the outcome what that will be. Minister Osborne is in there in an acting role and will do a good job based on the experience that he's had. Someone has been around, of course, government for a long time, so he will go in there in an acting role, and we'll let the investigation, we'll let this, do its course, go through its course, and once the investigation is completed, we'll see then what the decisions would be made then.
Well, Finance Minister Tom Osborne will take on the role of Acting Minister of Service NL for the time being. He was sworn in during a small ceremony on Saturday. A spokesperson for the Premier's office said only 3 people attended that ceremony: Osborne, Lieutenant Governor Judy Foote, and her private secretary. To maintain physical distancing, they kept apart and wore gloves while handling the pen and paper. Well, turning now to some international news, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been moved to the intensive care unit of a London hospital after his symptoms worsened this afternoon. The 55-year-old, who was earlier diagnosed with COVID-19, was hospitalized yesterday. Johnson was admitted to this hospital with persistent cough and fever 10 days after he was first tested positive. He's asked the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, to deputize for him where necessary. He says he continues to work with his team as the government tries to contain the spread of the pandemic. The country has more than 51,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with over 5,300 deaths.
It kind of felt a little spring-like today. We do have some area of snow that's moving across the province tonight. I'll have all the details coming up.
The Gander and Area Food Bank appeared to be heading towards a shutdown before a whole new generation of volunteers stepped up. I'm Garrett Bear here in Gander, and I'll bring you that story coming up on Here and Now.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The Gander and Area Food Bank is back in business after it was ready to shut its doors. A whole new generation of volunteers stepped up to save the day. Here and Now's Garrett Berry has the details.
It weighed very heavy on my heart when I heard that the food bank was going to close.
It's been serving the community for decades, since 1991, with some long-time senior volunteers. So when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, they faced a difficult decision.
Most of our people that volunteers that volunteer at the food bank are senior citizens, and we felt it wasn't right to put them at risk during this time, and a lot of them voiced their concerns that they felt it was time to close.
On March 16th, they told their clients they were going to shut down. They couldn't keep handing out donations. Days later, Dobbin made a direct plea to the board.
And I knew in the weeks going forward that the need for the food bank was not going to decrease, and then it was going to increase. And I decided to take that leadership role on myself.
Now, she's recruited 40 new volunteers, mostly between 30 and 50 years old.
I was overwhelmed. I was thrilled. I was excited. I felt very inspired to move forward to make this happen for our community that we serve.
And she's back in the building, preparing for the next donations. Here is the new process for the food bank. You don't just come knock on the front door anymore. You actually have to come up to this window, take your ID out of your pocket, and show it through the glass. Only then will a volunteer come out with a hamper of food that you can pick up once they've gone back inside. It's a whole new process, but it's one that the volunteers here feel more and more people are about to get used to.
We are keeping up with it at this point. We are definitely seeing some new names come forward. I suspect that is something that we're going to definitely see increase in the next number of weeks.
The shelves are stocked thanks to what she calls a generous outpouring of support.
Yeah, I find it difficult. You know, I did drop in on the second day that they were, first day that they were open. I just happened to be passing by.
It has been hard for some longtime volunteers to step away, but they'll be welcomed back just as soon as it's safe. Garrett Berry, CBC News, Gander.
Well, that is a big thank you in Happy Valley Goose Bay after the local co-op bought all of the cookies from the local Girl Guides to sell in their store. The annual Girl Guide cookie fundraiser came to a standstill because of COVID-19, so the grocery store stepped in to help. The co-op will put the trademark vanilla and chocolate cookies on its shelves, but some will be handed out to essential workers in the community. Ashley is here now with a look at the weather forecast. And happy Monday, Ashley. It was a lovely start to this strange work week.
It certainly was. We did see temperatures. It felt a little spring-like, in fact. If you did get to, if you got to step outside at all today. Take a look at the numbers that we reached. It was above zero for most of the island. We're sitting anywhere from 1 to 3 degrees, and those temperatures in the minus single digits up through Labrador, -5 in Lab City, and Cartwright sitting at -3 earlier this afternoon. Now, what we've got on the go is a big area of low pressure and a cold front that's sweeping through. So we are in southerly flow for most of the island. We are seeing some snow mixed with some rain moving across the island. That's going to continue as we head through the night tonight. But you can see just how large this area of low pressure is. We've got that rotation counterclockwise. So we've got that onshore flow for the majority of Labrador, certainly for coastal Labrador. So we're going to see that snow continue. It's going to spread across the island as we head through the overnight tonight. Not going to see much in the way of accumulation, a couple of centimeters at the most. But most of the accumulation will actually be for southeastern portions of Labrador, certainly along the strait. And then eventually that snow will make its way back along the west coast in onshore flurries by the time the morning rolls around. So we're going to continue to see that. Those accumulations, like I said, less than 5 centimeters for the majority of the island. Along the coast, you'll probably see close to that. And then the strait, by the time, keep this going through the day, Tomorrow you can see areas of anywhere from 10 to as much as 15 centimeters, and certainly in those higher elevations as well along the west coast and even up through coastal Labrador. So from Kovic to Nain, you could see anywhere from 5 to as much as 15 centimeters of snow. So here's that area of low pressure that I was talking about. It actually, a secondary low develops up through Labrador tomorrow, so that's why we're going to see that additional snowfall into the afternoon. Otherwise, keeping the chance of flurries in the forecast right across the board for the island, with some sun peeking out at times as well. Again, not much in the way of accumulation, pretty much only the northern peninsula and the straits. And then the winds pick up late day for northern Labrador because of that area of low pressure. So we're going to see gusts anywhere from 70 to as much as 80 kilometers per hour. So with that falling snow, we'll more than likely see some blowing snow through the day. Temperature-wise, not much movement from what we're seeing today, anywhere from -1 to as much as 2 or 3 degrees across the board, but winds a little bit breezy, 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, and then some sunshine to start the day for Lab West and Central, but you'll see those flurries move in late day as well. So into Wednesday, that low pressure system pretty much sticks around. So gray skies, few peaks of sun, that potential for some light snow, certainly along the south coast, and then moving towards Central as well. Could see some periods of heavier snow, but not much in the way of accumulation. A couple to maybe 5 centimeters of snow again through the day on Wednesday for areas through Central and the interior. And then again, the snow will continue up through Labrador as well as that area of low pressure continues to rotate. So here's where we'll be sitting temperature-wise. Again, not much movement from 0, 1 or 2 degrees above or below through the day. Straits, you'll see some sunshine, -4, and then temperatures similar in Lab City. So just wanted to share this weather photo with you. Everybody wants to go fishing. It's almost fishing season. I mean, it's being delayed, but it's almost fishing season. This was the view in Leading Tickles Harbor. Thank you so much to Linda Lane for sending that great shot in. And if you have any that you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Just gorgeous. Thanks, Ashley. We'll talk to you later. Welcome back. Well, many people have been using this time of isolation to do something creative, and one 14-year-old singer from St. John's released a song online to thank frontline workers. Just have a listen. Well, this is a song called Gravity. It's performed by Madeline Salter, and it'll be released on her upcoming album, but for now, it's being shared on social media as a way to thank all of the essential workers on the front lines right now. So we'll leave you on this note tonight. Thanks so much for sharing some time with us. Coming up next is CBC News from Nova Scotia.
Break the law of gravity, paralyzed from a pain.